First, it is in exceptional cases that we would study such matters. Second of all, it is important to see that those recommendations is only targeted for this case only. And as I said again, it has to be exceptional with something that is really troubling.
Erica Alneas from the City of Montreal, responsible for culture in the executive committee, making the case that Sir John A. MacDonald had to go. Well, he was already gone, right? The protesters got their way in 2020. Erica Alneas saying this is an exceptionally bad person that needed to go from the public sphere out there in the open. So we know what the City of Montreal announced earlier this week, that the statue of Sir John A. MacDonald won't go back to its pedestal. It is a decision that native Montrealer and professor of politics and public administration at Toronto Metropolitan University, Patrice Dutil, believes is wrong. And he joins us now on the line. Patrice, welcome back to the program. I know you've been on this show once before.
I have, and I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Glad to be with you.
So, I've seen you write about this, right? And when you joined us, before the city made this announcement, you made the case, don't do this, right? This is the wrong decision. Now they've done it. Now it's a fait accompli here. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm very disappointed. You're right. I published in the Journal de Montréal. I also published in the Gazette this winter while deliberations were taking place, making the case that Sir John A. MacDonald has been completely misinterpreted by these make-believe historians, these third-rate politicians, and his statue is not going to be restored because of a misreading of history. So it's a very sad thing. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for anybody who likes history, who wants to know more about history. It's unfortunate that after 130 years, that statue will no longer be on the Montreal cityscape.
So, Patrice, let me tell you something. When I did the interview with Erica Alneas from the City of Montreal, and this was yesterday on the program, I got a text message from a listener. Of course, I've gotten a whole bunch of text messages from people that are against this, just like you are and I am. But I got a text message from a listener, and they were genuine, right? And their text message to me was, Elias, you're a white man. Why is it's only white men that are defending this decision? And then they went on and say, this is like a statue to Hitler. Okay. And they're genuine about that and that belief. And I rarely respond to text messages, but I responded there and I said, no, the correct analogy is a statue to Sir Winston Churchill, the good guys that beat the Nazis, right? So, but there's a genuine belief, Patrice, that Sir John A. MacDonald is like Canada's Hitler. And it's a genuine belief. And I think it's crazy.
I don't doubt it, Elias. And it's the product of the fact that for 3 generations now, John A. MacDonald has not been taught in our schools. I know the Ontario case the best. I'm speaking to you from Toronto. A typical Ontarian will meet John A. MacDonald when they are about 11 or 12 years old. Well, that's the time when, in most places in Canada, we introduce the fathers of the Confederation, the framers of our Constitution, to our kids. Well, I'm sorry, but when you're 10, 12 years old, that doesn't stick. The net product is that the propaganda that has been spread, especially since 2015, has become accepted as the new narrative, that John A. MacDonald is responsible for the abuses in residential school, that John A. MacDonald was a spectacular racist, that John A. MacDonald represented everything that was wrong with Canada. Well, I'm sorry, but the man was elected to majorities 6 times. He represented Canada. He was the best Canada had to offer at the time. We can disagree with the views of John A. MacDonald. We can cast judgments on what Sir John A. MacDonald did, but you cannot deny that in his time, Sir John A. MacDonald was the most popular politician, and he certainly was accepted as the representative of the Canadian people. So, you can say that the views have changed. I don't think they have. I think that John A. MacDonald, in this day, still stands as one of the most progressive politicians that has ever led this country, and he deserves his place on a pedestal. history has to be done by people who know history, and has to be read by people who are interested. When politicians, when our leaders start to make decisions based on hearsay, based on rumors, then we have serious problems. We don't do our road work that way. We don't do our construction that way. We don't do medicine that way. We don't do law that way. Why is it that we have to do history in the most amateurish way possible? So I'm really disappointed that the city of Montreal has made this decision.
So you said before, third-rate politicians, right, are making this decision. But yeah. I'm looking at all layers, like I'm looking at all levels of government here. Like I don't see I don't see the Prime Minister of Canada standing up for John A. MacDonald. And if he's not going to do it, well, who is, right? So who should be standing up here, Patrice, for John A. MacDonald and maybe parts of our history?
I think that all politicians should be doing it. They should be leading our opinion. They should be making the case that, look, there are criticisms that are valid towards John A. MacDonald. But that being said, in his time, he was important. In his time, gosh, Elias, when that statue was unveiled, 10,000 people were present. This was funded not by the government, but by people. Okay? It was destroyed by a handful of vandals. How is that democratic? How is that right? I just don't understand. I think that Montreal should have done the decent thing, which is this. Rebuild the statue. Fix it. Restore it. And apparently the city is going to do that, and I applaud it for that. Put it back on its pedestal. I understand that it is dangerous, that people will likely attack it again. I'm willing to be, moderate on this. Put it back on its pedestal, show that at the end of the day, vandalism does not win, and then for reasons of protection, maybe take it down. I would even be willing to say, put it in a museum. I'm not against that. I'm sad to see this. Again, it's been part of the cityscape since I was, one of my first memories is walking on Place du Canada with my old granny. This is going back, almost 60 years. It's part of the cityscape. It's too bad that it's being lost. And it should have been protected. I'm really happy that it's not going to be, recycled. That they are going to fix it. That they are. And again, I'll give credit to Montreal where it deserves it. The city of Montreal. They're going to restore it. They're going to place it in a place, hopefully, that is protected. That is a heck of a lot better than everywhere else in Canada, where they have taken down the statue. And we're talking about 8 other places. There were 11 statues to John A. MacDonald in Canada in 2015. There are now 2 left, both under 24/7 police protection. One is here at Queen's Park in Toronto, and the other one is behind the Parliament buildings in Ottawa.
Patrice,
that's it.
Part of the announcement the city made, okay, it'll go somewhere else, but also part of that announcement, and then they're going to ask artists to reimagine the reinterpretation of John A. MacDonald's role.
Yes.
And not historians, artists, right? And then so I'm like, okay, so he's going to go back, but he is going to be turned into this monster. Can we just talk about this, right? Because it all comes down to residential schools. Now, let's forget about the fact that the protesters, this was in 2020, they were protesting defund the police. These are the protesters that took down John A. MacDonald. But so he's down, and then it's brought, it's residential schools. He's the architect of residential schools, and that is the reason he should never go back for that reason. Can we talk just about that, the notion of the residential schools? Is he getting a fair shake on that one thing? Because you can bring up, this is a progressive guy that won 6 elections, but on that one thing, are the detractors right?
Well, let's take a look at the record. John A. MacDonald did, in fact, ask that a program be established in Western Canada to allow Indigenous people who wanted to send their kids to schools. The Indigenous people in Western Canada had asked for such schools. This is not a trivial matter. And John A. made sure that the schools were all voluntary. That was what the situation was when he died in 1891. He had absolutely no intention of creating the kind of place where I have no doubt there was a lot of abuse. I have no doubt. We know this. We know this in Quebec. the Orphelines de Duplessis, we all know that story. We know how horrible these residential schools could be. We know that. But that doesn't mean that John A. MacDonald created it. It's certainly far against the record. I think that I'm hoping that if they do create an exhibit around John A., it'll be a serious thing. It'll be a historically valid thing, and it won't be just another free-for-all to criticize a man unfairly. Who wins in a case like that? Nobody wins by promoting ignorance, and it's unfortunate that that's the way the city is taking it. I mean, again, it's very interesting to hear the politicians go on about this is going to be the exception. This is going to be the exception. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's wait for the other monuments to come down.
Yeah.
All you have to do now is, basically brandish a hammer, bring a rope, and whatever monument you don't like, well, just tear it down, and the city will say, well, people have spoken.
Well,
it's a farce.
Patrice, you're speaking to us from Toronto Metropolitan University, not Ryerson. And
yes.
At McGill, the statue's gone at McGill, and now the calls to change the name are higher and higher. It's not. It will continue. Patrice, we're a little bit long on this interview, but I want to end off on this. So with a person from the city of Montreal, Erica Alneas, I read her a quote from George Orwell's 1984. Okay, here's the quote I read her. And this is a part of the book where Winston is going around London and he's looking around at the buildings, the architecture. One could not learn history from architecture any more than one could learn it from books. Statues, inscriptions, memorial stones, the names of streets, anything that might throw light upon the past had been systematically altered. Why do you think, Patrice, that when I threw this at the councillor from the city, they couldn't see the connection? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, again, these people are ignorant of the culture in which they live. They don't understand that we have roots. And when you start cutting off the roots, well, I'm sorry, the plant is not going to live for long. We need to learn our history. We need to learn what brings us together. This is, in Quebec, in Montreal, in Canada, a great society, not a perfect society, a great society. And I hold that is because of our past, where we have made mistakes, but we have found ways to fix them. We have found ways to compromise. John A. MacDonald is the very incarnation of that. That's for that reason I'll always have a memory for him. I'll always have a remembrance for the great things that he created, and not least, the thing that he created was Canada. And that's a formidable thing.
Patrice, got to run. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That is Patrice Dutil.